Vomitorium at www.streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live.
and thank you for being here today, because we are going to be switching over now. It's been the 5 minutes for the opening. Hello! Welcome to the Vomitorium Live, everyone. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and when Buck found out that today I'll mostly be talking about the Zenless Zone Zero live stream that happened earlier, he decided to hop on because he is so far behind with it that being able to hear about all this stuff and bouncing off it might actually help him quite a bit. So how you doing today, Buck?
Yeah, doing all right.
That's good. That's good. Is it, we were just talking about the weather. Is it, what, like 6 degrees there? I don't know what it is where you are right now.
It's like anywhere between 3 to 6, and then the wind usually drops the real feel down into the negative 10s to 20s.
Okay, that's about how I figured it is, yeah. I will accept when people say wind chill makes it colder, because unlike where humidity makes it hotter, so it's like, this is the heat index or the real temp, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, you can't run from humidity, right? Like, it's either that hot or it isn't. Wind chill, on the other hand, you can, in fact, hide behind a wall or inside a structure and no longer feel the wind stripping the heat off your body. So that one I accept a little bit more when meteorologists and other weather people decide to tell you that.
Oh, you want to hear the absolute worst of it?
No.
We had a shitload of snow. Then one day where the heat rose up and the snow started to melt. Then the day after that, it started getting cold again, but not
so
to freezing yet, and it rained.
Oh.
So, yeah, now everything is fucking ice. Even though it looks like snow out there, you take a step, it is just a frozen layer of ice on top of the snow. And the ice is like keeping the snow
layers.
From melting.
Right.
Yeah, the ice is keeping the snow from melting, and the snow is there to keep the ice from melting.
Yeah.
It's just
like the
a
worst,
self-contained freezer.
The worst optical illusion, right? Where you have like a small layer of powder that doesn't even cover everything on top of ice, but you can't even tell it's ice because it's transparent, and then there's a layer of powder underneath it too.
Yep. And the worst part is, because of the rain immediately after it started heating up slightly, now everywhere where the snow kind of partially melted or got packed down already, sheer ice.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't handle ice well, right? You're not like me, where like I can skate on anything. I could be in a store or something, right? And I'll have cotton sole shoes on, and I will skate around the store. If there's ice outside, I will get around town faster than anyone on foot, because even in sneakers, I'm skating around on the ice. But you don't handle that type of stuff well. Almost every single time we've ever gone for a walk in the snow or ice, you end up landing on your butt at least once, if not multiple times. So I assume you've been avoiding going outside as much as possible.
I actually can't really avoid going outside much because of Buddy.
Yeah.
So far, I've only fallen once, and that was because I was in a hurry. I've been doing better with the ice thing since I came up here. Because today I was in a hurry because the door froze shut, and my mom had to go to work.
Oh, okay. So you had to like try to unstuck it for her?
Yeah, at first I tried pulling it from inside the house, and it froze so well on the top, I could not pull it hard enough to get
all the way
ice
around
to break.
and basically ram it.
Yeah, I had to go all the way around the house, and that's why I slipped, because right next to the back door, it turns out there's a bit of new ice that wasn't there before. So I'm in a hurry, I think that's still snow, I slip, I get back up, run to the front door, and just immediately just turn the handle and just shoulder bash.
Wow, yeah. I remember one time, it was probably one of the last times that we went for like a big walk in the snow, right? It was before we had lived together. And I think I was staying over at the Robinsons at the time. And it was probably one of the best times for you. You had almost made it home after the whole day of us walking around, but then you jinxed yourself. right? I think we were maybe 2 or 3
Yeah.
doors down. And you're like, man, I can't believe I made it all day without falling on my ass. And then like 5 seconds after you said that. You probably would have made it if you didn't open your mouth about it too.
Probably.
Or if I was the one that brought it up, mostly to spite me, then you probably would have made it. But it's okay. We don't have to worry about that stuff. We're about to get Zen or Zenless, I guess. So earlier today, usually I'm actually awake to watch these things. They happen to go live right around at the end of my sleep schedule because, you know, I'm almost the true definition of a night owl. I will sometimes be awake until the sun comes up. But for once, I went to sleep at like 4 in the morning or like just before the live special presentation for Zenless Zone Zero went up. So I had to end up watching it sometime after I woke back up. But that's fine, you know, because they're not really live. They're more like premieres than anything. They run it like a live stream. But it's like a pre-recorded video that they play on the live stream. So watching it anytime, it's just really no difference at all. It's not like you missed something. You're part of the chat or whatever. But I watched it later, and here's something I've been noticing about Zenless Zone Zero, specifically, compared to the other games that Hoyo runs, is they almost structure it more like a traditional mobile game, in the same way that Honkai Impact 3rd does. Zenless Zone Zero really is Honkai Impact 3rd number 2, not to be confused with Part 2, which is just a continuation of the original installment inside the same installment. But spiritually, it is the sequel to Honkai Impact 3rd. They are running this game very, very similarly. I would say around the same time that they've added stuff to the other one, they're almost expediting it to run on a much faster schedule to kind of catch up to all of the improvements they did over the year. But what I'm really getting at here is a lot of mobile games do half anniversaries over in Japan, Korea, and China. It's a very common thing for them to do. But Hoyo doesn't do that with, say, like Genshin or Star Rail, and even a lot of their competitors that are trying to be in that Genshin zone also don't really do the half anniversary thing. And here in Zenless, they're not calling it a half anniversary, but it's happening about when the half anniversary would be, on the opposite side of the year of their anniversary. And they're giving about as much stuff that you would get during a half anniversary, where it's pretty loaded, but it's not to the same level that you get on a full anniversary. But it's definitely more stuff than you'd get for the rest of the year. And it's about the same time that they give most of the major game improvements too, if we compare to all of the changes they did in 1.4, which was also right around the same time last year. 2.5 is having a lot of major game improvements to it, which we'll get into. But I find that kind of fun, though, that in some kind of spiritual way, even if they don't want to say it, they are keeping to the general tradition of the half anniversary. I would have liked it if the other games did too. But, you know, I'll take what I can get. As far as spoiling the user, ZZZ does this way more than the other departments do over at Hoyoverse. They give away impactful free stuff all the time to try to keep people hooked and to lure new players in, which you can never complain about that, right? Because the gameplay is good. I don't know if they feel like they have to because they're the one that makes the least amount of money out of like their big 3 games. Still making way more money than Honkai Impact 3rd does. But I think it might be just because the dev team is just really passionate and likes what they're doing, right? So I think, oh yeah, also I should probably say hi. Fizz Choso has been in the chat since basically the time we went live. And Mike Walter showed up to say hi too. How you guys doing? So, the 2.5 update is obviously going to be continuing the story, as every update does add a little extra story to it. For people who haven't been following, we've been at Wi-Fi Peninsula for, what, 6 months now? Whenever the anniversary was, a little bit before that. The anniversary was July 4th, so I think it was sometime in late June that we've been in Wi-Fi Peninsula. It's another area, part of, like, New Eridu and all that. It's further away. It's got docks and everything. And we've been working with Yunquei Summit, which is this martial arts temple, and we've been uncovering all kinds of stuff involved with the Hollow over there, the miasma incident, the TOPS research facilities. We've been learning more about the sacrifices and things that were built up in Season 1, and we're kind of coming to a head with the season, getting pretty close to the season finale, because usually they don't do more than a X.6 or X.7 so far. They could do more, but they haven't been doing more than that. So if we're at 2.5, we're kind of coming to the end of that story. With that, it also means that we are getting probably the most impactful character of the year. When they did their equivalent of the half anniversary with all of their restructuring of the game back in 1.4, that was also when we got Hoshimi Miyabi, right? And Miyabi, to date, is still probably the most powerful character in the game, despite the fact that other characters have come out. There's some teams that are more powerful than her best team if you have the right team in the right circumstance. I think technically right now the strongest team is mono physical if you have Yuzuha, Jane Doe, and Alice. But specifically when things aren't physical resistant, right? In a lot of cases, Miyabi is still stronger because she doesn't even care if the enemy is ice resistant. That is basically the next character coming up. It's somebody who kind of has the potential to be a Void Hunter, and it's kind of a christening of a Void Hunter. I can't remember the name of this patch. I think I have it in front of me. But it is something along those lines about a new Void Hunter. Where is the name of it? Oh, this one's called To Fuel the Night. Well, that was the special program. What is the patch name? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's like Calling of a Void Hunter or something. So, her name is Ye Shuangguang, who visually just kind of looks like a fox girl version of Li Sushang from the Honkai series. And she even kind of plays like her too. There's probably a level of intentional, like they don't want to necessarily do the whole isotope variant thing from the other Hoyo games so much, but they basically just put Sushang in this game in another form. She's somebody who uses a bunch of swords. She dances around on swords. She can fly on the sheath for her overpowered sword that she's not supposed to ever take out of the sheath, or else it can hurt her. And she is a stupidly powerful character. If people pick her up this patch coming up, they will probably be set for the next year, in the same way that Miyabi set them up for the whole next year. This is probably the best character anybody can invest into. And in the same way that during that 1.4 kind of rework thing, Miyabi came out and they gave us a free character, which was Haramasa. They're also giving a free S-rank character alongside Ye Shuangguang, and that is Zhao, that little bunny girl. I sent you a picture of her earlier with the whole free thing.
Right.
And she's just like bunny woman, I guess. She's kind of older than most of the characters. She's just short and a bunny. And she's just like this little bunny woman who has like a big buster sword. And she's, from what I know, this is mostly leaks, I think. She is going to be a sub DPS supporting character. And will probably be really good for, I think, the Rupture units. I'm not sure, though. She could be good for, Yay. I really don't know. A lot of this is just leaks right now. Her animations look really good, though. I've seen those already. But leading up to this, they already have a lot of goodies that you can get right now in the game. They started a login event where you're going to get so many polychrome a day to be able to get, I think, maybe it was like 1,000 by the end of it on the 7-day login. They're also doing a little mini event. This is like a 7-day login, and you do a dialogue quest. You just talk to some people with Zhao, and she'll give you like 60 polychrome per each dialogue thing that you do. And it's not even technically log in. If you wait till the 7th day, you can just do all of them back to back. So that one's a little easier for people to get. The login ones, you do have to make sure you log in each day, or else like there's no catch-up period for it. But they're doing a little ramp up. There's like web events too, where you can get some of the pull currency. I'm thankful of, because I want Banyue, but Banyue only has like 10 days left on his banner. They really like stiffed him hard. They gave him a 12-day banner instead of like the normal 3 weeks that you get. And I think it's because they wanted 2.5 to basically fall right around Christmas. Like they wanted this to be rushed, so it's about like a half anniversary thing. That's what it feels like. And I'm also thinking if they rushed it now, they could also time their banners to do something good for the Lunar New Year. They're probably thinking a lot ahead, and it just so happens that Banyue, while he's a cool character, probably one of the coolest ones that you can pull, he does a lot of combos, and he's really fun to play, is probably one not a lot of people are going to pull. Because he's not a waifu. And so they probably felt kind of safe putting him in that gypped shorter banner period. That's how it feels to me. So, yeah, we're getting a free character. They have another set of gifted characters, but you can really only get it if you play into this top-up event. These games do this periodically where it's like, if you spend so much money in milestones, you get these kind of rebate rewards during the event. And in this case, they're doing a top-up event where, for new players, basically, like you're new to the game, you want to get stuff to get in and start going right away, or maybe you haven't been playing in a while, you missed a couple characters. If you spend enough, you can get a free S rank. That includes, I think, all the standard ones, plus a few older ones that haven't aged as well. Bernice, Qingyi, which I don't agree with them. Qingyi is probably one of the best stunners you can still have. They're giving away gold there. And Jane Doe are on there, and their engines. So you spend so much, you get a free character. You spend another so much, you get a free engine. But it's not really free because you spent for it. They want you to feel like it's free, though, because that's how you convince people to spend.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. But if you're not interested in these characters, maybe you're not a waifu hunter, though. I mean, your Zhao is going to be free anyway. Maybe you don't care about how strong the character is, and you're just going to skip Ye Shuangguang. You could just save. They're going to give you so much during this patch, in general, that you could just save up all the way until the next banner, the next patch, whatever, doesn't matter. And you'll be good. Gold. You could just guarantee that you're going to get the next character that you actually want. That's something that they do. I believe they're doing the same thing where this is the only character on banner for the patch, and the banner is going to last the full patch. At least that's what it read to me, because I didn't see any other banners. Other than there is a 3-character kind of chronicle rerun if you missed these 3 characters that will be on like banner the whole time. That includes Soldier Zero and B. I remember that one for sure, actually. Let me look. I've been sending information to people via DMs, so I can figure out who they are pretty easily just by going back through my DMs. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Yeah, it's Soldier Zero and B, Astra Yao, and Alice are going to be on this Chronicle banner. The cool thing about this banner is your first S rank is guaranteed to be your target, right? So if you're missing one of these 3 and you really want them, like say you really want Astra Yao because she is one of the best supports in the game, you don't even really have to play Astra so much. After you just put her on the field, you use her skills, swap characters, and she's just out there singing while you're playing the other 2 characters, buffing them. You can guarantee that you get her. You just have to dump enough into the banner, and when you get an S rank, it will be them. No 50-50 or anything. I think after that, it goes back to a normal 50-50 system when you're aiming for the other characters. But if you just want to guarantee you get one, boom, you got it. So that's kind of cool. I wish all the banners worked that way, to be honest. I don't really mind 50-50s if you're kind of aiming for mindscapes, right? Your bonus dupes of the character, because it is still nice to be able to build up your standard characters, but there's nothing more crushing than being on a 50-50 when you don't have the character yet and then losing it. I wish they would just change the banners in general, that your first copy, your first target on a banner is just always guaranteed, and then it's a 50-50 afterwards. I feel like people would be more willing to spend in the games too if they know the first one's guaranteed.
Yeah, and that would encourage them to spend more even if the rest of them is 50-50, because you've got them spending at least enough to get that first guaranteed one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's nice because nobody's going to ever spend on the standard banner. You only ever pull on it when you get the free standard tickets. So it is still nice to be able to possibly get stuff to rebuild your characters, right? Like maybe one day you want Grace to be M6. And it's like, okay, yeah, I don't mind the 50-50 for dupes. I would just prefer if there was no 50-50 on that first one. Let me guarantee the character. Same with the engine, too, like with the weapons. They have already better odds of you getting a W engine anyway, right? It's like 75-25, but it still feels bad. Even worse knowing that the odds are in your favor and you still lost that 25%. I think that's why Wuthering Waves, their competitor, has it to where the weapon is pretty much always guaranteed. Like, it's always guaranteed when you go to pull the weapon. It makes me more likely to want to pull the weapon because of that. Especially on a rerun, if I already have the character and I'm not interested in the other one, it's like, oh, cool, I'll just spend everything on the weapon because I know it's guaranteed. But if I had to recommend to somebody, and say they are already, maybe they got Yay early, right? Maybe they, and you know, they got a free Zhao. Maybe they're not interested in getting the weapon for either of them and they'd rather pull one of these characters that they're missing. I would definitely recommend Astra over the other 3 for sure. If you have Astra already for another reason, then the next one I would recommend is Alice, because right now, Anby's not very strong. She might be worth it when we see more details about the buffs she's about to get. But right now, she's not very strong, and she's already a buffed unit. I have issues with Soldier Zero Anby. I own her. The stats on my Soldier Zero Anby are actually pretty good. They're not bad stats. I'm definitely in the upper half of players when it comes to stats on it. They, according to guidelines and stuff, when you go look up guides, I have above the necessary stats for clearing. The problem is, she's just a very dependent character. I even have an Orphe, but they're all low investment, right? So I have an M0, W0, Soldier 0, and B. I have to put Nekomata's W engine on her, which helps her crit even more. But without her weapon and without some other supporting features, I find it actually really, really hard to pop the Defiler's little cocoon thing that's supposed to give you a shield to block her one-shot move in time. And a lot of the people who do pop it in time have her weapon or have a Mindscape. And I think even the devs know this, which is why she's getting another buff. Ellen is also getting another buff, but we're also getting some buffs for a couple of the standard characters. I want to see, where did I put that one? So I have the list of them. Yeah, Bernice is not standard, actually. Bernice is another limited character, but she's getting a buff. I'm glad for that. I love playing Bernice. Bernice is so fun. But she's just not as strong as the other anomaly units. That you kind of have to play her as a sub DPS that helps an anomaly unit. You can't really run her as a main one right now. She just doesn't do enough damage. You find yourself running out of time. But the two standard banner units that will be getting buffs are Soldier 11 and Grace. Soldier 11 is a character I've wanted to kind of play, but I got her so late compared to the other standard banner characters that she just didn't feel good to play compared to the other limited characters I had already pulled by then. And Grace suffers even more than Bernice when it comes to being an anomaly unit, because in a lot of cases, she's not even necessarily good as a sub DPS for getting disorder and stuff with. So it's really cool to see that those are getting buffed. I like the fact that the ZZZ team feels comfortable buffing these older characters, even double buffing. Like both Ellen and Anby have gotten buffs prior to this, and they're getting buffed again. So that it really gives you a lot of confidence for how they plan to support the game going forward. If a character you really like isn't performing well, then you can kind of almost bet that it's going to get a buff later, and you can still keep playing this character you really like. I don't know if you have any input on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the fact that they're doing that instead of what a lot of games will do, like even ones that aren't even gotchas.
Oh yeah.
Where they'll just like have increasingly more powerful new characters, and then the old ones are just left in the dust. It's like, yeah, you liked those characters? Screw you.
Yeah, more or less. And that's kind of how it feels over at Star Rail specifically. If we're talking the same company, they at least after ZZZ started doing it, Star Rail started doing it too. But they almost had to be pressured into it, and I don't think they've done it at a good enough pace for some of these older characters to keep up. Genshin's also kind of doing it. They just don't need to as much because, let's be real, the Genshin content has been so easy. You probably could have still passed it with 1.0 characters, you know? But you could feel it in ZZZ. Even just a year later. Part of it is because when they built these characters, they didn't really know what they were going to be doing with all the endgame modes. Like, they didn't know Deadly Assault was going to evolve into what it was going to be. And that some of the characters were struggling with Deadly Assault. So it's cool that early into the game's lifetime, knowing that they kind of power crept a little too quickly, especially giving everybody the ability to ult now, right? That was something that happened in 1.4. Everyone has separate ult charges instead of sharing it. That increased the overall damage threshold, which meant they had to increase how much HP enemies had, which started making certain characters fall behind because it didn't matter if their supports were ulting to buff them, their ratios just weren't good enough compared to newer characters, or even the combos they can do just wouldn't shell out as much damage, and that's why they needed to buff them. Anby, specifically, though, she just kind of came broken. I don't feel like they knew exactly what they were doing with that character when they made her, which is why when they did give her buff, they basically just made everything she does count as an aftershock, so it gets all of her buffs all the time. It still wasn't enough, but it was almost like an admission of like, yeah, we were kind of just experimenting with this character, and it just didn't come out well. And even their buffs, they're still kind of experimenting with the character. I hope this new round, they kind of just finally know how the character needs to play. But I know you really like characters like Lighter, who isn't really meant to be a damage dealer, but he could shell out a lot. He's more of a damage dealer if you get more of his mindscapes. But if one day Lighter just for some reason stopped stunning well, then you kind of know, yeah, they'll probably fix him. They'll probably make it to where he can still stun fast enough to do his job.
Yep. Yeah, because even compared to other characters, like, being more powerful when they came out, I've just consistently just stayed with Lighter, Ben, whatever support works best with them at the time that I have.
Yeah.
Last time I was playing, it was Sokaku, because I got the most stuff for her, and it actually works surprisingly well when you freeze them and then start beating the shit out of them with Lighter.
Oh, yeah. Because you're also going to get Disorder from that, right? Because you're going to have the fire on top of the ice. Shatter is really good in general. It's just you're not going to get as much Shatter out of that team because you're not playing mono ice. But getting that Disorder will just mean he's going to stun them slightly faster than he would have just with his own impact.
Actually, I've been managing to get a shitload of Shatter with Sokaku.
Well, I'm sure it probably feels like that. But if you were to compare it to the mono ice team, the numbers would feel dinky, right? Like, it's good enough, but it's not like the potential it could be, is what I'm saying. Like, if you were playing a mono ice Miyabi team, and you saw how much they're getting out of it, you'd be like, yeah. But the thing is, most of the content in ZZZ is low enough thresholds that it doesn't matter. You don't need to be at the pinnacle of everything. Like, the amount that you're getting, it's probably fine. It's probably fine enough to clear the content. I can't think of a lot of content where it wouldn't be.
Yeah, like, the only content out of the stuff I already played through that I was having any trouble with is just that one bastard who gains resistance and more health to everything that isn't ether. And at the time I was doing it, and I just said, you know what, fuck it. The only two ether characters are Nicole and...
It was Ju Yuin at the time.
Yeah, Ju Yuin and Nicole were the only ether characters. I did not have Ju Yuin, and I was not a good enough Nicole player to constantly proc ether.
Yeah, that's a problem because Nicole isn't really built to do that so much. I mean, you kind of can, but you just need to run, like, because you don't want her on the field a lot. That's not how Nicole plays. I remember you saying early on you just don't like her playstyle. It's like, I don't know how you can not like her playstyle. You shouldn't even have her on the field a lot. You just need to run like a lot of energy regen on her so she can use her skill all the time. And you just switch to her to skill and then back off because you get the auto follow-up from it. But even that's rough. Back then, because I know what you mean. Anything that was ether back then was rough, even if you had ether characters. It's rough now, actually, because there aren't a lot of them. If you have Astra, right? Because Astra can help the ether for like literally every single character. She just kind of stays on the field and she gives you a boost. Your options are, as an actual damage dealer is either you own Ju Yuin, who is starting to show her age. You can still clear a lot with her, but you have to be really, really skilled and you've got to be boosting her a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the next round of buffs include Ju Yuin in like half a year from now. if it even takes that long for that round of buffs. Or you have to own Vivian, who Vivian's really good. She's one of the stronger characters in the game, but you mostly want to be running her more as like a support for an anomaly unit, where she's like a sub DPS that plays off field a little bit with somebody like Miyabi or Alice or Jane or someone like that. So it's still kind of rough on the Ether front. Unless, actually, there's somebody who's technically Ether, but in a similar way to Miyabi, she's a special class. You have Yishwin, who is kind of the equivalent of the closest thing I have to a main right now. I use Yishwin for everything, and she just melts because she's a rupture unit, and she doesn't care about most of their defenses. She just ends up like punching and kicking the shit out of everything. Strongest Ether unit in the game. But you probably would be fine with her if you were playing at the time that she came out, because she's the leader of the temple, the martial arts temple. She's kind of like their grand master. So she, for the most part, just slaps things. Wouldn't be surprised if she got another rerun soon. She had one, I think, not too long ago, maybe. I don't remember. But she's one of those characters that she'll probably rerun pretty often. Kind of like how Miyabi's had a couple reruns already. But yeah, Ether's rough. There's just not a lot of Ether support in the game. Aside from the fact that two of the Ether characters are supports. I think what we need are more like another 4-star Ether. Or what do they call them? A ranks. Because Nicole's like the only A rank Ether character. Everything else is limited. There's not even a standard Ether character. It's all just limited. So you would have had to have pulled it.
At this rate, I'll just take if they decide to take someone with Perlman's model, just give them like an Ether rocket launcher and just stumbling around the field blasting.
Yeah. That would be funny. That would be really funny. Especially if they gave him like a waddle. I would like a waddle.
Like, there are two things I kind of want to see out of this game. A playable agent that uses like Perlman's base model, because that looked funny as hell when he was actually on screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Or an actual playable agent who's a Bang Boo, just because that would be funny as hell to me.
I feel like that part is probably going to happen eventually, especially because there's a bigger Bang Boo model in the game that you can see sometimes, where it's like 1.5 times the size of a normal Bang Boo. They're probably just going to be saving that as like a really big, fun joke character later into the game if they do something like that. But I would like to, because we've got our first, I guess you would call like a dwarf character, somebody who's actually tiny with Zhao. We're getting it for free. I would like to see like a male dwarf character too. Especially because like they usually don't give us young or small men in Hoyo games. But ZZZ is bolder than the other ones. Their team are willing to do a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't see in the other the games. They're willing to give you full-on robots, right? Like with Banyue. They're willing to give you tag team characters in an action game, which you normally wouldn't get. The only time they've ever done tag team characters before, usually with a summon, was in HSR, and that's a turn-based game. So the fact that like ZZZ's willing to experiment, if any game would do it, it would be them.
You know what? Fuck it. First dwarf character is a hare, second one make him a tortoise.
Oh, that'd be funny too, yeah. Or a penguin. Have like a chub. I don't even really like penguins, and you know this, but have like a little fat, chubby penguin guy. That'd be hilarious. Be like the, what's his face from Spyro the Dragon? The Sergeant?
Sergeant Bird.
Yeah. Have a character that's like that. That'd be cool. He's like one of the few Penguin characters I actually like in fiction.
Yeah, honestly, when I hear Penguin, I think of two things: Sergeant Bird, or that one psycho from frickin' Yu-Gi-Oh! That season they were in the VR thing.
Oh wow, I don't need I know what you're talking about, but I did not remember that until you brought it up.
Not
See,
a lot
the
of
other
people
one-
remember that season because that was kind of like a filler thing.
No, I remember the season, but it's like certain parts of it. Yeah, I've memory hold it. But no, the other Penguin I think about is obviously the Batman Penguin. But usually, specifically the Danny
True.
DeVito version, because who doesn't love Danny DeVito? What do I have against flightless birds? Well, or the flightless birds. I don't have anything against flightless birds in general. I just don't like penguins. And that is a very, very long rabbit hole, or I guess killer whale hole or whatever, that I don't feel like getting into right now.
That rant's long enough to be an episode all on its own.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Other flightless birds are great, though. I love ostriches. Ostriches are cool. I like emus. I like cassowaries. I like kiwis.
Emus are currently the only bird that have won a war.
That we know of.
That's true.
Yeah, at least in recorded history. Against humans. I'm sure actually plenty of birds in recent time have won wars against other birds. But against humans, that is the important part there. Not many things win wars against humans. We're pretty baller. Are we like ratites? No, it's not that. I just specifically don't like penguins. It's not that I specifically like the other ones. I specifically don't like penguins. Anyhow, I'm trying to remember where I was on this. I covered the characters we're getting. I kind of covered what we're going on with the story. Covered the spending event. I covered the banners. Oh, Jane Doe's getting a really sexy skin. That matches her character because she is like a femme fatale character. I don't need all the skins in the game to be sexy, and actually, not all of them are. Some of them are just like regular casual clothes. Some of them are kind of cute. There's one skin in the game that's actually just like really lame that was given for free if you were playing at the time. But it's also really cool if you consider the reference that it is. And it's Monoto has a skin that's basically just a color swap. But some of these characters like Monoto, his fighting style is just if you took Soul Bad Guy from Guilty Gear and put him into 3D, right? The fact that he's basically a fighting game character, having a color swap is the funniest skin you could possibly give him, because palette swaps are just like what fighting game characters get as alternatives. It's like a player 2 skin. There's also story reasons why his skin's that way, but on like a meta level, it's hilarious.
I still think it's funny that so far all three characters that have been released and based on fighting game characters have been fire.
Yeah, because we have Lighter basically has Terry Bogart's fighting set, right? Are you okay, Buster Wolf? Monoto is basically Soul Bad Guy from Guilty Gear, and I don't think he has a specific fighting set unless I'm just not as familiar with it. It might be from another fighting game that I don't remember. But Banyue is basically a fighting game character. He's got like full-on combos and everything. And they're all fire characters. It is so weird. Maybe they just associate fighting games with fire as an element, but maybe it's also that like the characters they're based off of use fire in their base games, right? Like in Fatal Fury and King of Fighters, Terry uses fire in his kit, and Soul Bad Guy also uses fire. His weapon's a giant lighter, right? So it's like it could just be sheer coincidence, but it's funny all the same. But yeah, so she has a sexy outfit coming out. Really fits her character because she's a femme fatale. And as long as you play the new patch, if you are playing during that time, you will get it for free. Even if you don't own Jane, it'll just be sitting in your inventory until you own Jane. For a lot of people who might be spending during the event and they get their free character, it might also, or their bonus character, I don't want to call it a free character, their bonus character from the milestone, it might be enough to convince them to pick up Jane as that character because they already have the skin. They've been doing this quite a bit recently. They gave a skin away for Vivian for free the last couple patches. They gave us like 75 days. All you had to do was 180 pulls across 75 days, and you got her skin for free. Starting when she was on banner for rerun. So on the stream account where I didn't already own her, I ended up getting her while we were catching up on content. Still catching up on content. That account is so far behind. I might start prioritizing that as our stream game, just because we also have to catch up in Genshin, but it'd be a lot quicker for us to catch up in ZZZ if I was prioritizing it than it would be to do so with Genshin. We're caught up on HSR, so I can always just do, well, we're halfway caught up. I'm in the new patch. But I could just do that as new content comes, and then we're instantly caught up again. I think we're going to prioritize ZZZ on the streaming account, streaming time during the day for a little bit. But we got the Vivian skin as well. I got it on my main account too. It was really, really easy as long as you were just doing dailies during that time to get that skin for free. It's cool that they're doing this. Shengguang is also getting a skin. Hers, you'll have to pay for. I think the cooler thing with Jane Doe's is they're not even making you earn it through pulling like they did with Vivian. If you play during this time, it will be in the store. It will just be at 100% discount during the patch. So you could just go into the skin shop, click purchase, and you get it for free. And then it'll go back to normal price afterwards.
Nice.
Yeah. So everyone, even if you don't feel like catching up at that time, you should at least go in, claim that stuff. Go log in for like 7 days, get all of your login bonuses and stuff. You don't even have to do your dailies. Just don't miss out on your bonuses. Claim the skin, and then you can just let the game sit there until you actually do feel like playing and catching up. I think that's kind of a way to do it. They're also doing this mechanics enhancement, which I think is one of the ways that they are buffing these other characters, the ancient enhancements that they were showing. And they have something going on now where it's kind of like another set of Mindscape in a way, where you can do weekly quests, sort of, and get the currency you need for the upgrades. And they'll have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, similar to the Mindscapes, and it just gives you stat boost for these characters that maybe their ratios are just too low. So having the stats from your disk drives aren't enough on its own, and they need buffs. They will be letting you just get raw stat bonuses for these characters to allow them to be as good as the other ones. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I like the fact that you have to earn them, because some of maybe these characters should have just been buffed straight up anyway, but I don't mind that you have to earn them either. I'm kind of just a little neutral on it either way. The fact that they even let us earn it and they'll buff these characters, I'm just happy for that. That's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah. That is definitely good. And if they're not going to get an official patch, just giving us a way to increase stats beyond like the base level is definitely a good way to treat it.
Yeah. Obviously, you'll get your normal login 10 pull for limited banner, bang boo, stuff like that too. the coolest thing they're adding, and we're right at the end of the show, so this is probably the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then we'll cut out. The coolest thing they're adding is they're kind of bringing in alliances from Honkai Impact 3rd in a way. Not to the same extent, but it might grow over time. But you could basically make like a little guild with people that you know, probably prepping for the multiplayer stuff that they're planning, and you can help each other farm for things. Certain things. I don't know what it all was. I forget from watching it earlier, but I like that they're bringing in somewhat of like an alliance guild system, because these are still mobile games at their core, even if we're playing them on PC or console. And it feels kind of weird that their games have moved away from having systems like that when that was kind of standard for all of these games.
Yeah, that is true.
So I will probably be starting one up that people can join as soon as that's available. And I will not be streaming the new content for quite a while until we catch up. I'll be streaming old content, but I will be streaming the game. Anyway, that's it. I figured being able to talk about this was going to take the entire show. But it was just the entire show. I might start doing this more often when Hoyo does their presentations on specifically the same day as the presentation. So then you don't have to hear me talk about them the rest of the week. I might even, if people want to come into the Discord, I might stream the presentations not on YouTube, but just inside the stage channel for people in the Discord to watch. And we can commentate and stuff and talk about it later. But that's it. That's it for the week. I will put up the schedule for the next week sometime over the weekend. We definitely will not be doing anything on Christmas. I don't know if both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, maybe just not on Christmas Eve, but we will have less shows next week in general. But we will probably do the long all-night New Year stream that we normally do the week after that. So keep in tune for that. See ya.